when you're practicing, right, you're practicing to get something that's really difficult to become natural. And when you approach practicing that way, then everything that all the the old guys tell you always makes sense. You have to practice stuff really slow to get in your subconscious. And one of the good ways to get something in your subconscious is when you do it or you're doing something else that engages your mind. And singing melodies, is really important when you're playing jazz. So I think it's a great thing to combine the two. Okay? So does everybody here know like eighth notes? Like in a bar of 4/4, there are eighth notes. Everybody gets it? Okay, so what I'm going to show you, right, is the very first thing you do is you take the eighth note, you play it on the first eighth note, and you play on the second eighth note, and you move it forward. So I'll show you what I mean. Right? So everybody knows jazz. This is jazz. Right? Okay, so when we play jazz, the most basic approach to playing it is you do this thing where you play. Now, everybody listen to bass drum like really carefully. Okay, like it's kind of playing quarter notes, but it's not going. And when you're playing jazz, a lot of the time you're playing with an upright bass player. You play with an upright bass player, he needs the support in the bass line. Boom, 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 right? Now check it out. Like if I play and I pick the bass drum up, something's missing. Even though you don't really feel, you can't hear it. Okay, so that's called feathering the bass drum, and feathering the bass drum is something that I advocate to anybody who wants to play jazz or anybody who wants to learn some technical exercise, because not only does it make your stuff sound better and more complete if you can do it, but it also deepens your sense of time. Everybody will tell you that like if you're playing funk, or you're playing jazz, they'll tell you like your time is here, or how you keep time is with the hi-hat or the ride or everything. But no, the truth is your time is here. The time is here, and your music is here, and everything that you do on the drum set is just a reflection of how deeply you understand it and how well you can translate it to technique. So feathering the bass drum, right? Like it just gives you a really good grounding in terms of how you think of time. And if you put on a metronome, right, and you really listen to that metronome, people think that the metronome is just a point, right? But actually, if you listen to it closely, you will realize how fat a quarter note is. And it's not just like, like, And so, like, just doing this stuff helps. So anyway, and again, we'll do this. So, everybody knows this is the basic jazz pattern. So when you start learning how to get independence, you just go. If you do it to a melody, sorry. Whoa. Kick, right? So, and then you do the same thing with your feet. And you know, when you're doing it with your feet this time, you don't let the bass, you know, obviously. So you go. Right? Everybody cool with that? Okay, so when you can do that with all the eighth notes with both your hands and your feet, and you can also do it with your hi-hat. You take, what I would suggest you do is you take the syncopation thing. I'm gonna borrow this from you. And you allow each of your limbs to read the line while you play the jazz cymbal pattern. So I'll show you what I mean. Like, so my snare drum is going to read it up. And that you know, will just get all your limbs working against each other. It's also a really like cool thing to do when you're playing funk, right? Like you can say like you play a backbeat here, and then you read the bass. Aww. Sorry guys. You play a backbeat with your hands, and then you can read like, you know, the bass drum, the line of your feet. Same thing you can do with your hi-hat. Okay. And then after that, the next step after you can do all this, you know, stuff is you can make, you see all the short notes, right? All the short notes you play with your left hand, and all the long notes you play with your right foot. So I'll do it very slowly. If you really want to get crazy with it and you start doing triplets, there's this exercise you can do, which is you read, how do I explain? Okay, you read the line with your foot, and then you fill in all the triplets that you're not playing with your foot, your left hand. So it goes like this. Right, that's the first bar. It'll end up sounding like. You know, like just doing stuff like that, it's not music. You know, it's like it's just a way to make playing music easier when you're actually playing music. I don't suggest that you like learn how to play this whole page and then you go and play with people like verbatim. You know, it's gonna sound really horrible. There's a lot of notes. Anybody seen like the new John Riley DVD? Has anybody bought it? Okay, anyway, in it he talks about this thing called headroom, and headroom means like if you, let's say, you know,